I've always wanted to study abroad ever since I can remember. Traveling has always been something I've been really interested in, and so I felt like this was a great opportunity and a great time in my life to do it.
I decided to study abroad because my parents really like to travel, so at a really young age, I've always been exposed to traveling, and it's always been a huge part of my life. So I just knew going into college that I wanted to study abroad.
I went to Amsterdam in the Netherlands. I did a direct exchange through the University of Amsterdam. Each year they send a few students to UNL, and then we send a few students there as well. I like that university because it offered a lot of variety in the classes I could take, and also the classes were in English.
I studied abroad in Prague, Czech Republic, through a provider program called AIFS, which stands for American Institute for Foreign Study. I chose that program. Well, I chose a provider program because I kind of just wanted some structure when I went abroad. Like a lot of exchange programs, you kind of just go and you don't really have people there to help you. But I knew I wanted like a resident director, and I knew I wanted to, live with other students. So I decided to pick a provider program.
The process was a little bit stressful. There was a lot of paperwork to be done, and I had to apply for a residency permit. So the requirements for that are pretty strict, and if you're not exactly sure what to send in, it can be really confusing.
Honestly, the pre-departure process is just it's just a very like weird experience. It's kind of stressful. I think anyone who's going to study abroad, that they can relate to that. You kind of, first of all, you're nervous. You don't really know what to expect. I mean, you kind of just sign up to go to a different country. You don't know anyone. I went to a program where there's no one else going from UNL. I didn't know a single person. I didn't know how big the program would be. I didn't know how small it would be. I didn't know who I was living with until like a little bit before I got there. So I was extremely, extremely nervous. Also, I didn't have a lot of friends who had studied abroad, so I really had no one to relate to. I had no one to really talk to about the experience, so I pretty much did everything on my own. So it was kind of a little overwhelming.
Looking back on it, I can say that studying abroad was completely worth all of the time, money, and effort, because I now have irreplaceable friendships, and the experience was unlike anything I can describe to anyone. I would recommend it to anyone interested.
I remember there's one specific incident when I got there, and I hadn't even been there that long. It was in early February, and I went to these caves in Moravia, which is outside of Prague. It's a couple hours away, but it's in the Czech Republic. It was just amazing, and I think that's when I realized at that moment that it was the best decision I had ever made to see something like this. I honestly felt like I was in a movie or on like the set of like Jurassic Park or something. Like it was just so pretty, and it was then that it really hit me that most people never get this experience, and most people will never see something this beautiful. So I need to cherish it and soak up these 6 months for what it's worth. And it was then that I just realized that this was so amazing and so worth all the time and effort I put into going abroad. Definitely go for it. Don't even hesitate. I feel like people don't say this enough, and they really should. There is never going to be a time like this where you can go for 5, 6 months out of a year and just travel and see the world. So I would just say I would absolutely, without hesitation, go for it. You might have to fill out some paperwork and get a visa and go through that whole process, but it's absolutely worth it. If you're patient, it's more than worth it. So definitely do it.